Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Nerdy 30, the podcast where we talk about nerdy-ish things for 30-ish minutes. My name is Kevin Bauer. With me, as always, is my faithful co-host, Tim Cack. We also have Michael B. Breen here today because this is part 2 of the Nerdy for 30 Nice Guys Lethal Weapon 2 double feature. If you listened to last week's episode, you know that we got into it talking about the Nice Guys. We are back here today to talk about Lethal Weapon 2. Tim despised the Nice Guys, but I have a feeling he's got a different feeling about Lethal Weapon 2. Tim, take it away.
The movie that I recommended, the movie that I bullied everybody into watching again this year. These are 4 of my best favorite movies ever. I still love it. I still love this movie. Sure, it's not. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. There's a lot of crazy things that we can nitpick. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it and what sucks and what's great. Your beefs and thieves. Maybe we could do some of those. But I love it. It just makes me happy. I love these characters. I love spending time with them. I love that Joe Pesci's around now. And I had a great time rewatching this. I love it. It's great.
Oh my God. Well, we got special guest Michael B. Breen back here too. Breen, also a stan of the Nice Guys like me. What did you think about Lethal Weapon 2?
I really liked it. And I think to kind of talk about it from the beginning, we got to talk about the last movie and how that ended. That ended with Riggs, and I think a really good place. Like, he was a functioning member of Los Angeles. He was bringing reusable bags to Trader Joe's. He was, I think he was getting it together. I mean, 7 a.m. Equinox classes, this guy vacuuming every day. He had it together at the end of that movie. We were to believe he was turning it around. And we start that second movie, and 15 seconds in, he's trying to commit suicide again. What happened in between the 2 movies? Because he's back at his old tricks. He is reaching into the footwell of the driver and holding down the pedal for him because he's not going fast enough. That is a man who wants to kill himself. And you know what? I think we need a Lethal Weapon 1.5 because I need to know how we got.
Not since The Lion King has the cinema world seen a 1.5 dropped on us.
He's more than ever. We get this big action scene to open it. And when we calm things down and go back to the office, Riggs has put himself in a straitjacket for fun. And he's thrashing around the office in a straitjacket. No warning, no reason. He's just swinging himself around. And he gets out of it by breaking his own arm and then putting it back into place. The man is not well. Everything we worked for in the first movie is, it didn't stick. It's devastating, but I'm happy that I get to watch this version of him.
I disagree with your placement at the end of the movie. The movie ends the morning after he just murdered a ton of people. And he went back to his roots. He killed a bunch of people. The difference in that movie is that he is suicidal in the first movie. And by the end of the first movie, he realizes that he has something to live for, and ultimately something that he would die for. And the character in Lethal Weapon 2 is who Martin Riggs really is. This is him comfortable and around his friends, and he knows people in the office, and they know, and they want to hang out with him. And he's like crazy, but they're like betting on him. They know he's good at his job. He's earned their respect. He's like grounded, but he also is the guy who goes in the grocery store and knocks a bunch of shit over, which, I mean, honestly, some of his behavior kind of dickish. I was like, this is villain behavior right now, making this guy's job worse. I get that you're impressing some girl, but no need to be rude to the waiter about it. You know, like just be a cool guy. But this is who Martin Riggs is, and this is who he is going forward. This is his character, and this is like him coming out of his shell and finally being comfortable around everybody. What are you gonna say?
I don't know what I was expecting. I'm happy he's back to his old tricks, but surprised. I thought this movie was going to be about him unraveling again, but we meet him and he's like, remember me, the guy who put the gun in his mouth? That's who I am, not the other guy sitting at dinner with my partner's family. I'm a psychopath. still through and through.
This is, you know what this is? This is a kid that started acting out for attention. And then like a kind teacher is like, you know what? This kid clearly needs attention. I'm going to make sure that he's set up with like an after school program. I'm going to find a hobby for this kid to like. And then the kid finally starts getting that attention from that authority figure. But the authority figure is also like, you know, this kid's acting out. It's pretty funny. So now we have a kid that has been emboldened by support from the people that should have been talking him down. This is premium Riggs. This is amazing.
He's a big kid. He's a big kid. He's a golden retriever boy. He's a golden retriever man who is very good at his job. And he is not, I don't think he's suicidal in this. He is crazy. He is willing to die for the job, but he is not suicidal. He is not killing himself because of the loss of his wife now. And this movie is ultimately about him like getting over that to some extent and going full circle.
I will say though, even though this movie isn't about that, I think he should be heading right back there for Lethal Weapon 3, because even like if the arc of this movie is him getting over the loss of his wife, to have that girl die on him at the end of this movie, holy fuck. Like he should be full blown Wolverine berserker rage for the rest of his life at this point.
Yeah. I mean, she was a thin character. They spent one night together.
She's fucking awful.
No clue what her deal is. What she's
terrible actor.
Oh my God.
She was a miss. Everybody failed that character.
She's maybe the biggest male fantasy character that I've ever seen. It's insane. She could not be more different than Riggs. She is willing to go hang out in a trailer and drink beer with this dude in a chair that he has to like dust off because he's not sure if it's clean or not. He's like, yeah, I should let you know. All I know how to make is chili. You know, that's coming out of a can. Like, dude, it's a daydream. This is not a real human being.
In that house, we'll call it a house, his living situation doesn't make any sense. Did you buy that property? Are you there illegally? Did a contractor build the foundation for your trailer on this beach without checking if you own the property? What's the story about the house? I think that's what Lethal Weapon 1.5 should be. Losing his mind with his requirements and then just going fully insane again.
That's the helicopters that blow it up. It's actually just the Los Angeles zoning board.
Oh my God. I have two great Lethal Weapon stories that I have to tell you guys before this pod is over. The first thing I learned about this, because I was reading about Shane Black and like I was trying to find some parallels with The Nice Guys and all that. Shane Black wrote the first movie. That's like Shane Black's movie. He directed it too. Mm-hmm. This one, he started writing the script. He wrote a first draft and then walked away. So this is like not really a Shane Black movie. And he walked away because the studio wouldn't let him make the movie he wanted, which was in the first movie. It's about Martin Riggs like getting redemption, like he's suicidal and then he finds a reason to live. And the second movie was supposed to be gritty. It was going to be like real violent. And Martin Riggs was supposed to die at the end because he wasn't suicidal, but then he was willing to die for the love that he found. So he wanted to be this 2-part thing. The studio's like, no, we're going to make 2 more of these after this. He can't die. But they filmed scenes at the end when he's like being held and like bleeding out. They filmed an alternate ending to this movie where Martin Riggs just dies at the end of this movie when he's shot. And he dies for Roger and he's dying for something as opposed to like get back at himself for it. But the script that Shane Black wrote was dark and fucked up. I think the only thing they really kept was that scene where he pulls the house on stilts down in the truck. But there was like a torture scene where Martin Riggs and Roger just like torture like one of the South African guys to death. And like it was real dark. And I think they spun it in a much better direction. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I was fascinated. I'm like, this makes so much sense that they want this character to die because they really are just setting it up for Martin Riggs to die. I mean, did you guys bite on that at all? I know there's sequels. Nothing. Was that compelling in any way for you?
I didn't feel it in this movie. I mean, I would have been shocked if he died because it just didn't feel like this was happening then. I imagine the whole movie would have been a lot different if he dies.
Yeah, I think so.
But if they filmed this scene, they clearly wanted to see what it looks like. Yeah, I don't think that would have worked.
I don't think so.
Yeah, not about
think
it.
it would've.
I feel like I don't want a grittier version of this. I feel like this is the exact tone that I want from a Lethal Weapon movie. This movie made me wish that Lethal Weapon was like a classic TV show that occasionally got movies into theaters as well. I know that they have since in like the modern day done a TV show of Lethal Weapon. I've not seen that. I think you told me it was pretty good, right, Tim?
Oh, I got kicked off their Facebook page for complaining too much. I got blocked from their Facebook page. I was like, this is terrible. You can't do this. You can't make this show. The movies are perfect. And a friend of mine was actually was a character on the show. I've heard it's okay. I have not watched it and I will not watch it. The first Rig, they replaced Martin Riggs on it because he had like some sexual harassment thing during the first season. So they kicked him off and replaced him with like Sean Scott or whatever his name is. The guy who's always hanging out with like Johnny Knoxville in movies.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's the movies aren't canon.
Well,
or the shows aren't canon as far as I'm concerned.
I don't want a modern day one, though. I want like this 80s cop show about it if I'm going to watch it, just because there's something about the tone of like them being in the station. I want to see more station hijinks mixed in with like these types of things that only Riggs and Murtaugh can handle.
I want way more toilet bombs.
Let's talk about it.
Intimate thing I've ever seen. That was 10 times what the most graphic sex was. That's real intimacy. Sticking with your friend when you're sitting on the toilet, because if you stand up, it's going to blow up.
It's beautiful. I love it. I think it's great.
I was so confused at the beginning of that scene because the first movie had so many scenes of Murtaugh in the bathroom with his entire family there that when they came into this, like when we came in and Riggs is like trying to find Murtaugh and Murtaugh's like yelling for him when he finally makes his way into the bathroom and sees him there. I thought we were just getting a comedic break. It's like, oh, okay, he's on the toilet. And Murtaugh elaborates and he's like, you know, this is the first 20 minutes that I had to myself. And I was like, oh my God, this is just a character bit where he's so happy to have time for himself that he just has refused to leave the toilet for like 2 hours or whatever it's been.
I also thought that.
Dude, the bomb angle is insane. Like when did you know? When did you know the bomb was there?
When they showed it, because for the first couple of minutes, I was like, who are these two men who have a chat in the bathroom while somebody's taking a shit? And you know, Riggs doesn't know right away, and he still enters the bathroom and has a chat. Mm-hmm. Well, his best friend is taking a shit. If either one of you walked into the bathroom while I was taking a shit just for small talk, we wouldn't be friends anymore. I'd say, you know what? This is the line. We can't do it, but they could, and that's why it was so great. He didn't find out until after that bomb was there.
If you're ever missing for 10 hours, I'm flying to LA and I'm checking every bathroom. I don't give a shit.
Starting at the airport and fanning out. That scene is wonderful. I really worried. Like it's like I don't think either one of them is going to die in this scene, obviously. But I did worry that there was going to be like some kind of an injuring that was going to take somebody out of the climax. Like I thought somebody might be benched for the third act, and that would be like an angle that they're playing with. It was a super funny scene, like super compelling and realistic to have like the bomb squad members in there and just how uncomfortable it all is. And Murtaugh's got his pants at his ankles. And then there's that one other cop and she like pokes her head in and he's like, get out of here. It's just so funny. I loved it.
I think it's great.
It's really good.
What do you guys think about the bad guys in this, which will lead into my next awesome Lethal Weapon story? I
don't find them that intimidating.
Yeah.
I thought they were kind of boring. I thought everybody's cards being face up so early on made them less scary. We know what they were trying to do. We knew what they were capable of. I really enjoyed the scene with shooting the guy and him landing on the plastic and then getting that joke later. I thought that was really funny. But they didn't do much for me. They just weren't very intimidating.
Yeah. I've talked about this before. With like Die Hard, we've talked about how the villains aged really well because they're just like generically European. And like, obviously you see so many 80s movies. It's like Russian villains. We're accustomed to seeing like all the villains in 80s movies are always Russian dudes. There's something with like South Africans. This is the first movie I think I've ever seen with South Africans as the villains. I guess I've never seen Blood Diamond. I don't know what the situation is there, but I've talked about it before with like British villains, where like if there's a scene and there's like, you know, hooligans or something, and I don't know, in the Kingsman movies, you see it a lot. As soon as somebody speaks with like a British accent, I am not intimidated by them. And I think the same thing holds true for South African. It's just, I'm just not used to it. I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like a nice accent. Like, it's just like sounds like your pal talking to you. It's tough to fear them.
It sounds so close to like New Zealand too, right? Like to me, I hear it and I'm like, I feel like I'm watching Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah.
I think all of their accents are pretty bad and not accurate at all. I think that's like a pretty good critique of the movies. It's just like, I think it's just kind of, the accents are kind of bullshit. I don't think any of them really know what they're talking about. I've heard people like critical of them online, but the South African thing, this movie like does a lot with like apartheid, and it's like coming out, you know, as a lot of like protesting apartheid. There's jokes about like Murtaugh trying to go to South Africa, and they're like, why? Because you're black, because of like apartheid. So are you guys sort of familiar with apartheid, right? Mm-hmm. You know what that is? If you're not listening, if you're listening at home, you're not familiar. This is a system in South Africa from like the 1940s to like the 1992 or something like that. That was pretty much the minority white people in this country were ruling everything in a nation that was mostly black. So white people are controlling the government. They're passing all the laws. They're controlling the media that comes in and out of this country. And a lot of people credit the first Lethal Weapon with helping to end apartheid in South Africa, because at the time there were people in the government, there were white people in the government who were trying to end apartheid. They started loosening up the regulations on what was coming in the country. Lethal Weapon was like a blockbuster movie, huge movie. They, for whatever reason, they couldn't justify blocking it. It's one of the first movies that comes into the country uncensored. And it is one of the first movies in South Africa that shows a white man working with a black man, hanging out together, being friends, working together. And this guy, Danny Glover, is like an icon in South Africa. And there were white people in the government who watched this movie, were like, oh, I like Danny Glover. Maybe black people aren't so bad. And they like joined this kind of like coalition. This is obviously not the only thing, but apparently
I think it might
just end apartheid. But it was a big deal, because if you think about the media, like this is a huge movie in your country, and it's the first time anyone is seeing this. So it played a huge role. And so when Lethal Weapon 2 comes around, they know this happened in South Africa, and they're just like, villains are South African. Fuck apartheid. We're killing all these South African white guys, and we're making our point. Like, we are with South Africa. So it's incredible. I think it's like kind of beautiful. I don't know if it's necessarily executed the best way, but I think that's insane. It's great. It's apparently Danny Glover is like still an icon there today. I love it. I love it. It makes these South African guys make sense to me. I think it's badass. They just made this whole movie that's a middle finger to the South African government at the time.
That fucking rules. I love that so much.
That's good info.
It's good info, right? That's a good story.
Wow.
Okay. Did you guys can we do some beefs and thieves? Because I honestly love you guys talking about this movie.
What do you want you got a beef to start or a thief to start?
I don't have any beefs. I love this movie. You got any beefs? Breen, you got any beefs? What's like your biggest gripe with this thing?
Again, just not understanding how Riggs came to live in that situation really bothered me. Whole house. What's the deal there? Also, maybe a beef just from a technical standpoint. Riggs bringing that house down with his truck is the craziest thing in the world. With his friends still in it, he's bringing this house down. It was so crazy and out of left field. And I like it in theory, but I was like, this is a house, and he's driving a he's pulling a house with a truck and it's going to fall.
Yeah.
That was my beef.
There's no way.
I don't think it's possible.
Dude, Catalina Breeze could have taken that thing down. That thing was going to come down. Riggs just happened to be there with a truck. The second that he said, either I'm going to go to the house or I'm going to bring the house to me, I was like, oh, he's going to pull down the house.
Because it makes no fucking sense to say that unless you're going to pull down the house. Yeah, I mean, most of my gripes are with like the structural integrity of the homes that are in this movie. I don't have many other problems with. I think like one thing I missed from the first one was just like that change that we see Riggs go through. It doesn't happen in this one. There's no real character growth from anybody. It is just like a shoot 'em up, and the guys are fun so you can get through it. But there was more like story. It was more about what was going on around the case than what was actually happening with the case. And this was all case, all business, all the time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I agree. I think he goes through a little bit of growth, but it's not crazy. You're right. The idea of his like partner, if he's like getting over his wife, and then like like maybe the first woman he's been with after her is immediately drowned. It's like, that is so fucked up. It is so fucked up. And I will say, as a preview to next year, his love interest in the next movie makes a lot more sense.
That's good.
As his character goes. Kevin, you got a big beef? Give me a big juicy beef.
I've got two, but they're quick.
Where's the beef?
My first one.
We could have used that a while ago.
Well, it brings just launched right into him. I didn't have time to hit the button. I didn't want to cut him off.
That's my beef. Yeah.
Oh my God. Boy, hey.
Where's the beef?
Okay, my first one is in the fight scene with the South African at the very end, when the guy takes out Riggs' leg immediately with the knife. He then just keeps doing the same spin kick too many times. It feels like when you're facing an early video game boss and they have one move and you just need to learn how to get away from that one move. It's like, this dude, he really is just going to keep doing the spin kick.
Yeah. You just need to press L1 at the right time to counter.
That's it. Yeah. And it's like a training thing. So like you're not taking that much damage every time. It's mostly just to teach you how to hit L1 in these encounters. So that's my first one. My second one is the locations that the South Africans chose to put the C4 in the different cops' homes were ridiculous. It's like, okay, we need to kill all these people at pretty much the exact same time. Otherwise, they're going to get hip to what's going on. They're going to start investigating on these cops' houses. So what can we make sure everyone's doing at the same time? Well, she's going to be on the diving board. We know that for sure. She always swims and she always uses that diving board. The boys are having a card night. They're going to want to put on some tunes. Like, of all the places.
A lot of assumptions were made. A lot.
They picked the toilet for Murtaugh.
That's his thing. That's the thing he's known for around the office. Taking big dumps. Like, we'll get him there for sure.
You can't knock these guys because they were 3 for 3. Yeah. They knew how one-dimensional those people were.
I also like that they're like, for Martin Riggs, they're like helicopters with guns. Let's just do that. Everyone else is like a careful C4, and they're like, we got to send the military after this guy. And we still don't kill him. It's fucking insane. The idea that he gets away in that scenario is kind of crazy. He gets to the truck, he gets away. I will say, I love the diving board kill. It's so funny to me.
Same. It looks so good too.
It looks awesome, and her body is so straight and just like flies forward on it. It's hilarious. The it's
amount
great.
of stuntmen that they actually had to use in this is like fun too, because you don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
Like Riggs hanging off that truck in the scene where the guy dies from the surfboard. I'm like, this is insane. Somebody actually had to do this.
Yeah, they're doing this.
You don't get that anymore.
You really
so
don't.
That was fun.
Can we move to some thieves? I got some thieves.
Yeah, let's do some thieves.
I think you're a thief.
First and foremost, Tim, you mentioned him at the beginning of the episode. We've made it another 25 minutes without talking about him again. Joe Pesci in this movie.
Yeah.
Some people talk about how some actors have the sauce. Joe Pesci is the sauce.
And you know he was in this movie, and when he showed up, it was so exciting. I felt like I found a lost treasure. Like I didn't even know this Joe Pesci character exists, and he delivers every single time. He's so funny. He's so cliche as that character while still doing it totally his own way, and it's perfect.
Oh, it's amazing. And Breen, can I blow your mind? You may have looked this up. I was so happy when I saw this fact. This is pre-Goodfellas Pesci.
Not that. Yeah, he's a softer Pesci. He's like a white guy, but he'll start a bath for you.
He looks into Murtaugh's taxes.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a sweet guy. This is pre-Casino Pesci. He's a different man.
I love his name is Leo Getz, and he does the bit where he's like, whatever you want, Leo Getz. And that really is his character, where he's like a gopher or something. But it seems like that's his thing. He just goes and sucks up to people. He's like, let me get you a newspaper. Let me put your feet up. Let me run the bath. Let me do all these things for you while he's like robbing them blind. And then also they treat him like shit, but also clearly care about him. Which is a dynamic that I love, which maybe today I don't like as much. I think I will say that probably on rewatch. I am a little like, oh, they're kind of mean to him. They're maybe like too mean to him, but I love it.
Him either. He never like tries to screw him over. He's just like along for the ride. I was so sure he'd fuck them over.
Yeah, same.
He's part of the gang now. He's fully with them.
I really hope Pop in 3.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they just full on go the Rick Moranis and Ghostbusters route, and he's suiting up for the next one. Yeah.
I won't say anything. It's going to be great. You guys can wait a whole year and then we'll revisit it. I'm so excited. We're definitely doing Lethal Weapon 3 now. It's happening. Fuck yes.
We gotta.
Kevin, you got any other
I'm
thieves?
into the universe. Yeah, I got another one. The running joke with the condom ad is super funny. It's super good.
Out of nowhere, no reason for it. It exists in a vacuum. It doesn't affect anything else in the movie, but we get back to it over and over again. And really, this whole movie is about how much can we make Murtaugh squirm from beginning to end. The guy is never comfortable. He's always in a compromising position that he doesn't want to be in, and he gets out of it with no grace. It's never great.
He's amazing. It's so funny. I mean, I love like the distraction he's doing. The scene with him in the like South African office, I think is so funny with him and Joe Pesci, and they're just crushing it. I mean, I think all three of these guys have like such good chemistry and are clearly pals and like have a good time. I love it. It translates forward. Kevin or Breen, you got a thief?
And mine was Leo Getz. He was awesome in this. I loved every scene. I loved that really emotional goodbye they had. And he says, "Can I turn on the siren?" when he takes the cop car? And they're like, "You bet you can, kid." He just kind of skips away in a cop car with the siren on. I mean, that's the movie. Cut it there. The end. Leo got his cop car.
Both of those things kind of feel like the TV show from the 80s that I wish this was. Like both of those just kind of feel like a plot to an episode of Lethal Weapon, the TV series, where it's like, you know, they have their job to do, but also you're going to be babysitting this guy and he's kind of a handful. Or like they've got their job to do, but Murtaugh's daughter just starred in a condom ad. And do you know the other cops are going to have something to say about that? Like, it really works somehow.
God.
Yeah, I loved it.
I love it. Speaking of the daughter, I think my thief this time, I love the relationship between Martin Riggs and the Murtaugh family. I think it's so great. It's a huge leap from the last movie. I love that he's doing his laundry there. Murtaugh's wife is doing his laundry. He's like cooking for them. He's like over there and he's like talking to the daughter's boyfriend and telling him not to listen to Murtaugh. Like in this thing, there's just like a level of intimacy with all of these people that I think is so beautiful. And then he tells like the gold pen story, which is fine. But I love that he tells the gold pen story to Murtaugh's wife. He's telling it to Mrs. Murtaugh. And he's never said that to Roger. Roger doesn't know the story. So this is like now like an inside thing. It just shows like a level of intimacy between Martin Riggs, and he's got like inside like jokes and stories with his wife. He's got a unique relationship with everyone in the family, and is just a part of their lives now. He is just fully ingrained into their household. And I just think it's so beautiful, and I love it. I love people loving each other, and it just seems very positive to me. It just seems like, I don't know, it's so sweet. I love it. It feels like a warm hug when they're all hanging out together. And then then it ends with like, you know, has just been revoked and just like murdering a guy, and Martin Riggs like bleeding out at the end. But it starts in such like a wholesome place that it feels very threatened. Right. And I think that's where like Shane Black was coming on with like Martin Riggs dies at the end, where like the family's only around for like 10 minutes just for you to know that they both have like that the stakes are real. They just established the stakes. He's gone after my family. It's personal now. And that just drives them through the rest of the movie. So I don't know. I love it. I love the relationship. I think it's great.
Same here. Oh, yeah. It's the best. Anything else we want to cover about this one before we wrap it up? Oh, anything else we want to cover about this one before we wrap it up?
No, I think we did this movie justice, and this will probably be what lasts longer than a movie. Thousands of years later, when they're going through USB drives and trying to figure out what the culture was like, it'll probably be this. And I'm just honored to be a part of it.
I love that you were just sitting in the dark now. Your lighting was so good for the first pod, and now you are just sitting in a dark room. I am worried someone is going to come out of the shadows and get you. I am terrified. This
is Blair Witch Project lighting right now.
This really is
all right off after. Yeah, keep an eye out for me. This is really scary.
Yeah, there's going to be a shadow that passes in the background for sure. It's coming. Oh my God.
Wait, should we wrap it up with a Lethal Weapon's Nice Guys convo? Is there anything else to be said about the Lethal Weapon Nice Guys comparison? In my opinion, this is just a superior movie. It is tonally just very different, I think. And I don't know. Is there anything else to say about this? Have we nipped this in the bud? Are we moving on from Nice Guys? Do we ever have to talk about Nice Guys again, or can we just continue on this Lethal Weapon love fest?
I'll leave it with this. I still like Nice Guys better than Lethal Weapon 2.
That hurts, but I get it.
I know.
I don't get it, but I love you regardless of your faults. Kevin, how you feeling?
I really liked Lethal Weapon 2. I will probably like rewatch Lethal Weapon 2 just to live in those scenes with Riggs and Murtaugh's family. I'm going to watch Nice Guys more.
Oh, it hurts to hear, but I guess I was expecting that. I guess, you know, we'll end on a low note, and and we'll mope off into the sunset to see Ryan Gosling suck some more.
God, you know, I was going to say I can't wait to hear you eat your words someday, but at this point, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think I just need to accept that this is who you are, and I'm going to have to live with it.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back in the new year. I'll be on the first 4 episodes of the new year, too. So get ready to see more of me.
We're doing a White Lotus pod, and you'll be on that.
White Lotus pod?
No, I have no idea. What would you be on? What are the first 4 pods of the year?
White Lotus. We could do Babylon.
Okay, we won't do that. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. We'll have you back next year. Stay nerdy, everybody, right?
Stay nerdy.
I love it.
Thanks again for being here, Breen.
Thanks for being here, Breen.
Hey, of course.
Tune in for the Rennies. They're going to be great. It's coming up, our awards show. Can't wait.
It'll be great.
Can't wait.
See you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.